We're going to speak about a few interesting rules that are life-changing, really life-changing. They're so life-changing after you hear them, they feel like you already knew them. And these are called the laws of energy. But let's start with a question. Okay, the parsha is Parashat Shlach, which speaks about the Meraglim, speaks about the spies. And Moshe Rabbeinu sends spies to check out the land of Israel. And it doesn't end too well. Let me ask you a question. If you do something and it doesn't work out, are you going to do it again? Because the parsha, this is the parsha I just told you, the Haftarah is Yeshua sends spies. Yeshua sending spies? Wasn't spies a mistake? Didn't it end badly?
Depends how you do it.
Why are we doing it again?
You learn from the mistake and do it better next time.
You learn from the mistake and do it better next time, then great. Now, I want to connect you to these laws of energy. Okay? These are not Torah laws, but you'll see that they correlate very nicely with Torah laws. I can't see over here a law that doesn't match what we know from the Torah. Okay? These are not scientific laws. You can't really prove this. Some of the stuff are too general, you can't really prove it. It's stuff that the influencers speak about. It's stuff that you hear people that learn NLP will talk about it. It's a physicist won't tell you that it's true because these just can't be. We don't have tools to measure this. Okay, so there's an interesting law, the law number 8, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy, which means energy is always moving and changing, which means you can try something once and it can work out well, or it can work out badly. You can try it again, and the energy moves. A lot of times we see this. You do the exact same thing in the exact same way, and you get different results. That's what it seems like to us, right?
Never bigger. Never be exactly the same thing.
Right. You can never be the exact same thing. In every moment, there's changes. I'm not the same person I was.
The result is not the same.
When I started this year, I was a different person than I am now. There's an element of change, of development, which we're going through all the time. Right? It's an interesting kind of thought because what do you mean you're the same person? What do you mean you changed? No, there is an you can understand if somebody tells you you're the same person as you were 10 years ago, you'll agree. But if somebody tells you you're not the same person you were 10 minutes ago, you can also agree. That's why these rules of energy are interesting rules. Okay, so because things are changing all the time, therefore Yeshua can also try it. And it can have a different result. Why should they see the land? Why should it happen in the same way that they come and they get surprised and they come back and they say, "Oh, it's actually a bad land. They're massive giants here. It's scary. Don't come in. Don't come into Israel." Why should he expect that to happen again? That result. If I drop something off the building, okay, I take this silicone spray canister and I drop it off the building and it takes 3.9 seconds to hit the ground. I'll throw it again, it'll do the same thing again. 3.9, 3.9. Nothing's gonna change. If there's wind, it might be 4. It might change by a fraction. So it's a philosophical concept, but when I tell you things are changing, does that resonate with you when I say things are changing all the time? Does that resonate or does it sound weird?
I feel it's more not physical, but
Maybe not in a physical way, right? I brought it down. I boiled it down to physics. That's right. He brought it down right to physics.
Our feelings change every
The
second.
feelings change. If you look at a wider picture, when you're not just thinking about the physicality, you're thinking about emotions. And here we're talking about energy, which is beyond. You know, everything is energy. We know that today. We know that if you were to take the atoms that the whole world is made out of, and you break it down, you're gonna end up with something tiny, right? Because the atoms, you have a neutron in the middle, and you have the proton spinning around, the electron spinning, sorry, the electron spinning around, and there's a lot of space. There's lots of space in between, right? What happens with that space? It's all energy. It's the spinning that creates all of this. That's in a physical manner, but we're talking about an energetic manner. So the law number one is the law of divine oneness, that everything is connected, everything is one, everything is connected, everything fits into one thing. That's a very interesting kind of thought. And it's very clear that that's how the world is. Hashem Echad. We're part of God. We had an argument in shul. One guy picked up the cup. Meir, were you there? One guy picked up the cup and he said, "Is this God?" Shalom. Is this God?
If God wouldn't,
It is and it isn't. These
God
are,
wouldn't let it stay like that. On total.
it says, "Amachadesh b'tuva b'chol yom tamid." God is regenerating the world all the time. He has to actively regenerate the world. If God stops, then everything ceases to exist. But there's also an element of God inside here. It's after the tzimtzumim. There's tzimtzum agabe tzimtzum, right? There's God's light comes into the world through filters. And this has some of God's light, but a very small amount. Meir, how can I bring God's light into here?
Use it to say
Say a
about
bracha, use it in a mitzvah, in a seudish mitzvah, there's a lot of ways to elevate it. And when we speak about God and God being light, and we're speaking about laws of energy, there's a correlation. When I see this, I see the things I know from Judaism, the things I know from Kabbalah, from the Zohar. So law of divine oneness is one. Law of vibration. There's an idea of, there's a certain vibration. You know about the vibration? You can vibrate there's lower frequencies, there's higher, that's actually not in the laws of it. The lower frequencies, if you're sad, if you're upset. So you're emitting a low frequency vibration, but it's going to attract that type of vibration towards you. And if you're sad, sad things will happen to you. That we can see, right? You know that. That all of a sudden, when something good happens, you get into flow, then good things are happening. And then there's the law of attraction. That's the third one. And that's the most famous one. They had a study that they did. There were 5,000 people in Seattle, Washington, that decided there's too much crime in the city. They went out to the park and they all davened, they all prayed, they all willed the crime to stop. And soon after that, the crime went down. What? Oh, those 5,000 people were the ones doing the crime. Yes. So this is not empiric evidence that you can use in a lab or you can submit as a scientific paper. But it shows you something. To ignore this totally is not right. Okay, and to us that makes a lot of sense. Well, tefillah, davening. Davening is what brings stuff down. Shimshon Pincus says you have so many presence in the heavens, the presence in Shemaim, you need to pray, you need to daven to bring it down. And law number 4 is the law of correspondence. It's also, law of correspondence is so above it. It's similar to a law of attraction. Then there's the law of action. Number 5 is law of action. It's very important. Manifestation needs the action to align. Yeah, the first step to manifestation is action. You can say that. What does the Gemara say?
first step in davening for something, the first step to getting it, they should take a small step towards it.
You need to take a small step towards it.
Something. You can't just daven for something and then just do nothing and expect to.
Right. You want to actually do something. It's not only about the feeling.
If you
It's
daven just like that, what you're doing, you're davening to succeed.
Mhm.
You're already taking steps.
Okay. So it's an interesting thing. The law of action is you can't say I'm living on a high vibration and act the opposite. You need to be echad b'peh ve'echad you have to be same as the way you speak is the same the way you feel, as the way you do things. Yeah, it has to work like that. It has to be like Avram Avinu that says and does, not like Ephron that says 400 shekels for the kever and then he just, you know, he says take it for free, and then he says 400 shekels for the kever. There's a law of cause and effect. Their reaction has a consequence. You do stuff and it causes consequences. It causes vibrations all around. There's a Rabbi Shlomo Salant that says that if a person does Chilul Shabbos in Paris, it's because somebody in Lithuania, in Vilna, touched Muktzah or moved Muktzah. He moved Muktzah, so him in Paris actually drove a car or switched on a light on Shabbos or switched on a fire. Right? There's a certain cause and effect. And we're doing stuff. We're here, we're sitting down for a Shir Torah, and we're causing vibrations around. And who knows, somebody at the other side of the world is all of a sudden deciding he wants to connect more to God. That's a law of cause and effect. There's a law of compensation that you're rewarded for your good actions. The good action doesn't go unanswered. There's an amazing thing they teach in networking, in creating networks, in helping other people. Give value to other people. Don't ask for anything in exchange. It will come back. Just help him find a job, connect him. He works in banking and he knows stuff about banking. Connect them. If you think they can help each other, just connect them and let that connection work by itself. And you're going to get good from that. That's how with the books that there's a book called Never Eat Alone that brings these rules. There's another book, Think Like a Millionaire, the book we saw in the shop. They speak about those rules for creating networks. Just do good for others. And ideas that comes back to you. And we want to do things not because we're going to get something back. We want to do things because that's the right thing. Um, there's the other a few interesting rules. There's a law of polarity. Everything has an opposite. The same that there's in good, there's also in bad. There's a Beis Hamikdash. There's a Beis Hamikdash Shel Mala above it, in the heavens. We have a Kohen Gadol. Who's the Kohen Gadol in the Beis Hamikdash Shel Mala? Gavriel. Gavriel the Malach. That's what it says. He's the Kohen Gadol of the Beis Hamikdash Shel Mala. And when that Beis Hamikdash Shel Mala is completely built, it was destroyed. Because when the Beis Hamikdash down here, up there was destroyed first, and then down here, Titus destroyed it. And once he destroyed this one, it says he just destroyed sticks and stones. Because, or how does it say it? Kemach tachun tachanta. You ground flour. It was flour already. Titus, you did nothing. He thought he did something. He thought he came to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. He went to Kodesh HaKadoshim. He stabbed the parachet, and blood came out. Then he took a Sefer Torah, he put it over there. He brought a zona inside. He did terrible things, and he heard a voice from heaven that said, "All you did was to grind flour. You didn't do anything because the Beis Hamikdash above was destroyed. Because when you do averas, it damages the Beis Hamikdash above, and it was so damaged that it collapsed. And when that is completely rebuilt, then down here it'll also be rebuilt." Reb Chaim Mitzanz says he had a dream. In a dream, they showed him that it's almost finished. The third Beis Hamikdash is almost finished, and they just need to rebuild the paroches. The paroches is what divides the Kodesh and the Kodesh HaKodashim. And they said no, and he said just no, it was almost redone. It was almost, so that's not, you're not building a parochis, I guess you're sewing a parochis. It was almost completely sewed. And then some big Russia did a big Avera and he ruined it again. And so we would have got the third Beis Hamikdash 200 years ago when the Divrei Chaim Mitzanz is alive, but it didn't happen. By the way, the Divrei Chaim Mitzanz is the same rabbi from the story of the clothes of the priest. When he walks and he smells the smell of heaven from somebody's house, and he goes inside and he finds the priesthood clothes, and that's what the guy had to wear in order to raise money for the uh, poor orphans. And these are the clothes that he was told to be buried in by Divrei Chaim Mitzanz. So that's Divrei Chaim Mitzanz was the greatest. It's hard to say the greatest, but in his time, he was the greatest rabbi. He was the greatest of it ends up being the sixth generation. If the Baal Shem Tov is number one, the Divrei Chaim Mitzanz is number six along that line. We're almost done over here. The last law is the law of gender. Manifestation requires a balance of energies. Everything has a gender. Everything has a male and a female. These laws are old laws. Where did they come from, these 12 laws of energy? They come from ancient civilizations, from Hawaii, from the Ponopopo. It comes from, it's collected from different philosophies, but we see it very much in Judaism. And by the way, this goes totally against what a lot of people believe in 2026. That that gender is fluid. Gender is not fluid. It's part of the creation of the world. And when you speak in Hebrew, which is God's language, you speak in Lashon HaKodesh, the holy tongue, everything has a gender. Male? Is this a male or female? It's a female. It's a female. Is this bencher a male or a female? Echad, it's a male. Okay, I can pick up a bunch of other items over here. You get that. So everything has a gender. By the way, they use the word gender over here, but it doesn't really mean gender in the same way. But it means that they're laws, they're rules. It's not something I can just decide. I'm going to make this into a different gender. No, you can't. There's certain laws that exist over here. Yeah, the person also you can't make into a gender. It's there already. It's part of the whole. It's a lot of these laws are like this. You need to, whatever you have good, you have bad, you have black, you have white. There has to be another side. There is no one-sided. We're not living in a one-dimensional world. It's always, there's always a good and a bad. The polarity and gender, by the way, are very similar. We mentioned the Beis Hamikdash Shel There's a Beis Hamikdash Shel Mata Shel Yerushalayim, but there's also a Bais Tamei Shel Mata. I read a little bit about that. There's interesting things that you do with Averas. You create certain entities with Averas, and I saw there is something like that also, the center of Tuma in the world, which is a very interesting kind of thought that there would be, and according to these laws, you would definitely have an interesting type of Titra Achra. The Yetzer Hara would have this other side, right? If we have Hashem and we have goodness on one side, what do we have on the other side? Yetzer Hara, Malach HaMaves, Sitra Achra. It's all one. The Gemara says these are all one. The Gemara about Basra, Design maybe. They're all one. These aren't separate entities. So you have complete good on top, and there is no real bad, complete bad on the other side. That's where it changes over here in Judaism. There is no complete bad, and sheker en lo raglaim. sheker, the falsity doesn't have legs to stand on. It crumbles. The bad crumbles. The Yetzer Hara, Malach HaMavet, Sarah Shel Esav, the angel of Esau, which represents bad. He represents bad, but he's God's angel. He also wakes up in the morning and sings in front of God and says shir in front of Hashem. There is no intrinsic bad in this world. So that's why
Because Hashem made it.
Hashem made it also. God made it so that it would pull you away from the good, but it's not. Here, I don't know how well this fits in. These laws, because these laws are these are fluid. They are kind of, you can look at them in many different ways. But we know that good comes into this world through filters. And the bad is where you have the most filters. It's like, man, under the sea, the fish at the bottom of the sea,
Yeah.
fish that have very little light.
Yeah. See, almost nothing.
They see almost no light. And there's the one with the light on top of his head. This is scary fish. What's he called? I forgot how he's called. So that's like the Sitra Achra. That's like the Yetzer Hara in the world. That's the place where you have the complete bad. The complete bad is behind all the barriers. Is where the least light comes to. But there's also light over there. Because there is no existence without light.
Go all the way down, back all the way up.
The animals that can go both. Fish that can do both. Okay, that's interesting.
Uh,
Okay, we're going to wrap up over here. There's some very interesting things that were said over here. Any feedback?
Yeah, it was very knowledgeable, like whatever.
It wasn't simple to listen to. I can imagine for a lot of people it feels weird. But there's a lot of
Not weird, but like we need to see.
it's stuff that needs to sit. Let it sit. Let it sit before spend some time thinking about these concepts, mull them over, and you'll understand a lot more. Great to see everybody. We'll reconvene next week. Yetzer Hashem.